Supply demand.
I can't, it's not on.
The likelihood of something like this is ever going to happen is so remote.
Yeah.
Plus, the way that you plan for it is not how it's going to happen.
No. No, but
Someone's going to walk.
whoever just happens to be going to the bathroom at that moment.
I'm like, dog tore her ACL.
Really?
Yeah, so she had to have surgery on Friday, and then the pain blocker wore her off last night, so she was like yelping in pain this morning.
Oh.
Yeah. What do you do though?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. Give her, do they give any pain medicine to give her?
Yeah, but it's like an 8-week recovery. I mean, and it's $5,000. And she has a partial tear on her other one. I mean, you can't put her to sleep.
Right.
Although I definitely thought about it, but.
Hello.
Some people would.
Well, the remaining 2 million.
Yeah, they're on.
I mean,
And you
So you're gonna excuse Audrey, okay?
we did that. I had an English Springer growing up.
Who wants to do the pledge tonight? How about Laura Haw?
And we had, I mean,
Look, good idea.
This was back in the 70s. We had 2000. And to make matters
Yeah, but
Hey, good evening. The Charter Township of Plymouth Board of Trustees regular meeting for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021 will come to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Monahan is excused. Clerk Forba, here. Trustee Dorshevitz.
Here.
Trustee Kermy.
Here.
Treasurer Clinton.
Here.
Supervisor Heisey.
Here.
Present, and we have a quorum.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. How about Planner Laura Haw?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Dennis Cebulski, Chairman of the Planning Commission, would you still like to go first on our regular agenda or at the end? Okay,
At the end.
so we'll wait. Okay, so what we'll do is on the approval of the agenda, we're going to move agenda item F1, the joint meeting with the Planning Commission. We'll make that F5.
And
Okay.
move everything up.
And just move everything up. So is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted, as amended?
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk?
I move the approval of the amended agenda for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021.
Motion's been made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second? Second by Treasurer Clinton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Going back to Jim.
Item D is approval of the consent agenda. Comments, questions? Hearing none, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, August 24th, 2021.
Motion's made by Clerk Vorva. Is there a second? Second. Second by Treasurer Clinton. All those in favor, let's do a roll call on that because we do have a resolution.
Yes, we do.
Yep.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Clinton.
yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Item E is public comment, limited to 3 minutes. This will not be your only opportunity during the evening. There's another opportunity at the end of the meeting. Again, limited to 3 minutes, and we do encourage comments on individual agenda items if they are germane to that particular item. So you had a question about sidewalks, I think? Okay, come on up.
And if you would give your last name and spell it, it would be helpful.
Good evening, everyone.
Is
My
that,
name-
is her thing on?
It's on,
Okay.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
yes.
No?
The mic is
Is
on.
the button on? Nope.
No, the mic is right there. It's a long bar.
Laura, do you want to help her out?
It's on. Okay, just, yeah, just,
Red is good.
yeah,
Red
just,
is good.
Green is bad.
Okay,
it's good.
well, how about if I hold it up here?
You're on.
Okay, so good evening. My name is Melanie Gums, and the last name is spelled G-U-M-Z as in zebra. And I'm a former resident of Plymouth Township, living on Oregon Trail, and I currently live in Canton at 6323 Willow Creek Drive. And joining me this evening is also going to be Kevin Seal, who resides in Plymouth Township at 8866 Whittlesey Lake Drive. So we are here tonight to bring some concerns regarding safety for students who reside in the walking neighborhoods, especially the high school students, for whom school starts at 7:22. The first issue that we'd like to raise is the lack of continuous sidewalk on the north side of Joy Road from Sheldon Road to Peace-Up and West. So students on the north side of Joy Road from Sheldon to at least Beck are considered walkers because they're within 1.5 miles of their assigned high school. And my 14-year-old son, when he's at his father's residence in Plymouth Township, is going to be one of those walkers. When he's at my house in Canton, he takes the bus. So when I realized there wasn't a continuous sidewalk on the north side of Joy Road, the logical crossing for my son would be at Gregory Lane, which is an uncontrolled crossing, I contacted the school transportation department. They provided me with this less than helpful suggestion. Walk east on Oregon Trail to Sheldon, walk south on Sheldon to cross Joy Road at the light, and then continue on the south side of Joy Road to Canton Township. Now I'd like to show you in the map what that looks like. So it adds another half a mile. It seems completely illogical, especially to teenagers. What are the kids who live on Mayflower or Canton Center supposed to do? Are they supposed to walk a mile out of their way back down to Sheldon? So in all the years that PSEP has existed, why hasn't putting a continuous sidewalk on the north side of Joy Road from Sheldon as far west as needed to facilitate safety for the high school students in the walking neighborhoods been a priority for the township? So the ask that I'd like to make of Plymouth Township is to find funding and escalate priority to develop a continuous sidewalk on the north side of Joy Road. Doing this would provide a logical route to Peace-Up for the students living on the north side of Joy Road. Currently, it feels to me like the community doesn't want to spend the necessary resources to keep the kids safe. So Kevin is going to talk about the next two issues because he has several years of experience in trying to get this issue addressed. So I'd like to yield the floor to Kevin.
Okay. Kevin also has 3 minutes, too.
So let's point to the spot here, so you talk very fast, so let's take a pause of where we are. Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail is over here.
My little dots didn't show up.
The Oregon,
But if you go from Oregon Trail, you're supposed to go over to Sheldon and down, and then on the south side of Canton Center, yeah, township side, you go back.
So why wouldn't you cross at Gregory Lane?
There's no control there. It's an uncontrolled lane,
Okay.
just running across Joy Road, which is a 45-mile-an-hour road.
So the school district is suggesting that he depart Oregon Trail, go to Sheldon, take Sheldon, cross at the light, and then go on the south side of Joy Road and walk to the high school.
The school does not recommend crossing at Gregory. No, that's probably what they all do. My
Right.
question is that safe? Is that safe at 10 minutes till 7 in the morning in the winter when it's dark?
There's a sidewalk on the south side of Joy
Yes.
Road?
Yes, there is a
Can you bring up
continuous sidewalk
satellite?
on the south side,
Mark,
on the Canton Township side.
That's why there hasn't been a sidewalk over the years built on the north side, because there's one on the south.
Right, but you gotta get from here to there.
Looks like it terminates at, looks like Van Essley's place, huh?
yeah.
You mean Gregory Lane?
No, the sidewalk on the
Sidewalk
south side
right
of
there, see
Joy
right
Road.
there? It looks, that's Van Essley's property, that you,
That's Joe Van Essley's place, so it looks like it terminates there.
right around there.
Oh, no, maybe here.
Maybe right, well, it comes back,
Oh,
and
maybe
it
here.
does a jog.
It jogs around here,
Okay.
Yeah.
but then it comes over there.
Yeah.
So there's a gap on 1, 2, 3 houses.
On our side.
Four blocks?
Oh, keep going west.
Hang on, so,
Yeah.
hang on.
1, 2, 3,
There's
4
30.
blocks.
Let's start from the beginning. If you come down Sheldon, you go here, here, then there's a gap.
About 4 blocks.
But you see after Gregory Lane, it stops.
Then it stops,
And there's a big chunk,
then it starts
Well, sort of.
sort of.
Unfortunately, almost all of those, an easement is required from the
Then it
resident.
stops and it starts.
Jeremy, didn't we just approve weren't we just granted a bunch of easements at the last meeting?
Just 2 of those lots.
Yeah, they were doing a land split.
Oh.
Only 2. So we got 2 from a land split.
Explain to her.
Jeremy, you want to explain what that means, the easements that we got on the land split, and where those were located?
They were in, where were they again, Jeremy?
Yeah,
What he's saying is you just can't build a sidewalk on somebody's property without them giving you permission.
You have to have easement, right? You have to negotiate with the property owner.
And if they don't want to do it, you have to condemn it.
I don't even think we can do that.
Pardon?
In the township, I don't believe we can do that.
Yeah, you can. You can do a taking,
Yeah.
but it's a big
We were
litigious
told by,
thing.
oh,
I believe we can use the quick take statute to acquire property.
It's been done,
I mean,
but it's
we-
just not our,
We end up in court, and then
Yeah.
the court
we just
decides
have
what's
never done
reasonable.
that. Pardon?
I'm sure it's unpleasant, and I'm sure that's why the situation has always existed. But you just gotta shake your head and say, isn't there some way to try to resolve it? Because those kids have to walk. The school district.
the houses that we got the.
How many are there?
It's just east of Gregory Lane.
How many students have this situation?
Yeah.
Gregory.
That's Gregory.
Pretty sure it was the 2 just east of Gregory that we got. I remember
yeah.
correctly.
Bob, can you keep going? Can you keep going west? I want to see what happens when you get to Canton Center. Because you still have to,
Nothing.
you
There's
still
still
have
no
to cross Joy Road to get to the
Yeah.
high school.
You're right.
And there's Canton Center.
There's
Now,
a
how do you-
light there.
Now, at that point, how do you get across Joy Road?
There you can't, there's no crosswalk, and there's that lot there, just east of Canton Center.
So that's where you cross, is right where that arrow is, huh?
Wacky there too, because
Yeah,
you
it's
have
all
a
messed up.
traffic light here.
Yeah.
It's a weird traffic
Yes. Right. I'd rather cross at Gregory than that spot at Canton Center.
Well, it could be, but then does that turn around into, what do the kids at Mayflower and Canton Center do? Are they supposed to all the way back to Gregory? How are they supposed to get to the south side of Troy Road?
Mayflower and Canton Center,
There
point.
needs to be an approved crosswalk from that neighborhood across Joy Road, not at Sheldon and not at Canton Center.
Okay, so you're advocating, so we're going to need you to come up, because we got to get you on
Your
the
name.
record.
So you're advocating a crosswalk at Gregory.
But give us spell your last name, please.
First name is Calvin, last name is Seal, S-E-A-L-E.
Okay.
So, and I wasn't, my topic is a little different than the previous one here. When I'm talking about a crosswalk across the street from Salem High School into West Briar subdivision. So just to finish what I was saying with Melanie's issue, the kids are walking, or the approved walkway now is from, say, Gregory and Mark Trail to Sheldon and back around. It's a half a mile walk out of your way there and back to cross the street. No one, adult, kids are gonna do that 6 in the morning, winter time, snowing, dark, whatever. It just doesn't make sense. We need to have crosswalks all along Joy Road for that neighborhood. And what I'm gonna get into now is the crosswalk, which is impacted my family and my neighborhood in West Briar, is directly across from Salem High School. Whittlesea Lake has a sidewalk
that's your
that goes
neighborhood,
directly
right?
to Joy Road, and that's it. There's no lines in the street, there's nothing on the other side.
Whittlesey is to the left, Bob. You got to scroll.
A little bit more.
No, Whittlesey. He's on Whittlesey.
Oh,
Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep going.
No,
No,
this way, east of
no,
McClellan.
go the other way.
Well, the
west
other
or
way.
east?
East of
The
McClellan.
next.
You want to start going east. Go east.
There's 2 West Briars, 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
So
Is
Whittlesey,
Whittlesey
Right
blocked
there.
off?
Yeah.
yeah, Whittlesey is blocked off there.
So right there, you can see the sidewalk.
Yep.
But there's a sidewalk there.
But there's nothing on the other side. There's no pedestrian signing. There's no lights. There's no lines in the street. There's nothing.
So there's just a sidewalk on both sides?
Correct. So when I've contacted the schools, I've contacted the county, Melissa Duab's office, I've contacted, you name it. Keep saying the approved crossing area is to go to Joy and McClumpha. So similar to the other neighborhoods, no kid is gonna walk in the 6:30, quarter to 7 in the morning, a half mile there and back out of their way if they go to Salem or Canton to cross the street.
That's Mike.
There's a direct sidewalk there for a reason, but there's no reduced speed limit all around Canton Center, along Joy, along Beck. So you've got brand new drivers, you've got buses going 45 miles an hour, and to go to that approved crossing area, the 4-way stop at Joy and McClumpha is crazy. There's no way I would have my kid cross there. It's the busiest, most dangerous intersection in Plymouth Canton at that time of the day. It's a 4-way stop, all those new drivers. The lines there, I drove by this morning, have been there for 15 years and they're all faded away. You can't even see the crosswalks. There's no additional signage or lights for pedestrians. There needs to be attention put on the Salem side, the Canton side, from Melanie's neighborhood for these kids to get to school that are walkers.
I don't think that's our jurisdiction, is it,
So
Kevin?
I
Is it,
did get a
Jerry?
request from
Melissa Dobbs.
Melissa's office and said that she needs the approval to come from the township.
What?
What?
No.
I've got 3 years,
Well, that's because maybe Melissa
I've got-
doesn't understand the way things work.
that's
Okay.
why we're here helping you
So,
guys to help
so
us out.
here's the deal. We can ask for a crosswalk. They're very expensive. The county's gonna have to pay for it. And I'll just tell you, first of all, my kids went through that intersection for, 6 years total. It took us 5 years to get a traffic signal at McClumpha and Ann Arbor Road, okay?
These discussions with
So,
Monica Merritt and her team, and now Melissa's team, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
To this point, and
Yeah.
it's this, every single
well, I
time.
mean, we would be I don't think it's a problem for us to ask for it, but it'll take forever for the county to
Well, I
do
can
Do a
it.
resolution
We did that.
asking the county.
We did that for the traffic signal at McClumpha and Ann Arbor Road.
We're happy to do a resolution, but it's ultimately a county issue.
Now, if it's a joint effort between, because it is a cross line there at Joy Road from Plymouth
Well,
Township and Canton.
We don't know the roads.
Canton has to do it as well, because
Right.
Joy Road is a county
Right.
road.
So I think what we're looking for is maybe some joint effort to go to the county and say, hey, we've got a real issue here.
Canton can do, we'll do a resolution, Canton can do one.
We're happy to do that.
That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, this is clearly an issue that crosses multiple municipalities and offices, and the issue that I think Kevin has found out in 3 years is that he talks to, one of them, and they point to the other one, and we kind of need to get all the stakeholders in the room and figure out a plan.
See, we're not a stakeholder, unfortunately. It's Wayne County controls 100% of it, both on the Canton side and the Plymouth side. Townships do not have jurisdiction over roads.
True, but.
We can help.
From Commissioner Dobbs' office, that the township must make the request of Wayne County, the individual citizen cannot do it, so you see how we're.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll do that.
No, we can do that.
They're even saying that MDOT had to get involved and do a study for that, for the lower speed limits, and they said that also needed to be requested from the township.
Well, no, first of all, Joy Road is a pure county road. Ann Arbor Road is actually a state road. It's the old M14. So when we did the traffic signal on Ann Arbor Road in McClumpha, we had to have a traffic study done first. We had to petition the state of Michigan. I was state rep at the time, so I made the ask of MDOT. MDOT then hired Wayne County to do the traffic study. Once Wayne County did the traffic study, MDOT paid for that traffic signal at McClumpha and Ann Arbor Road. So I don't know if the county is willing to pay for anything. But there's no problem for us to make that ask of Wayne County.
We're happy to do that.
Canton will be happy to do it. The school district should also do it as well,
I've been after Monica Merritt, like I said, for 3 years, and I got nowhere.
Well, I mean,
She didn't contact us then.
yeah.
No, that's why we're sitting here
Then
today.
they need to go to, you need to go to their school board meeting and ask them to do the same thing. Because it's the more the merrier. The idea is, what Daub needs, is she needs backup. She needs to be able to go to her people at Wayne County and say, this is being asked by the Plymouth Township, Canton Township, and the school district. That would be great. And we can do
We're
that.
happy to do that.
Great. One more thing about the light at Canton, or Ann Arbor Road in McClumpha.
Yeah.
One of my other issues here is the school speed limits. You're coming off 55 miles an hour there in the morning, and you got buses and parents dropping off kids at Pioneer, especially with COVID right now. No one's riding buses. I'm sure you've seen all the cars.
The backup goes all the way to McClumpha.
What can we do about a reduced speed limit zone in that area?
Speed limit is not going, it is highly unlikely that the speed limit's going to be reduced on Ann Arbor Road. Again, MDOT has to do that. MDOT's attitude is, it's fine. We ask them about that regularly. I don't see any movement on their part. The speed limit at Ann Arbor Road in McClumpha, I believe, is 45. And then it kicks up to 50.
It's 55 west of McClumpha,
Yeah.
45 after
It is,
McClumpha. But
correct.
everyone's coming off 55 right through Pioneer there.
The problem right now is because of COVID, the parents are dropping off the kids in front of Pioneer, and the traffic is backed up all the way to McClumpha. I mean, I know the police have been out there, so, I mean, we can keep doing that with school starting up again. And this,
If everyone would just slow down, it'd be so much safer for everyone and all around. Every
again,
school.
a traffic study has to be done. The state will more than likely not do that. I would ask your state rep and state senator about that one, but very unlikely that they're going to change the traffic
I think
speed limits.
that's one of the other reasons why I'm here is I would like your help in asking that. They're not going to listen to
You got it.
to Joe Kevin. I need some help here.
We'll do it, no.
We can make that ask, but we've done it,
Okay, well, I'm
individually
asking for the
many
help.
times.
One suggestion to do it quick, because if you're waiting for traffic signals and things, that's going to take years from Wayne County. Painting
They just painted
a cross
Ann Arbor
section,
Road.
a crosswalk could be done easily by Wayne County in a day.
But then there are crosswalk laws and limitations and requirements that,
So the current one on the Salem side is not ADA approved, and I'm not sure what those requirements are.
and they have to be lit properly, they have to have, there's a ton of different traffic regulations that take place. Because even though you should at least slow down if not stop, people don't unless there's these additional blinkers and arrows and things like that.
Well, you're sending a message that it's safe to cross here, so you can't just go out there with a can of paint and paint.
Well, you can't, no, and I mean, it's,
There should be some
and,
kind of, I mean, if you look at what we have at Ann Arbor Trail in Sheldon, we've got solar lights reducing the speed limits, we've got walkways over the roads. How come that doesn't carry on to the rest of the district? We got 2 schools that have it, the rest of us have nothing.
they're elementary and junior highs, and then
We've
they're.
got 3 high schools on
and-
one campus,
yeah.
Class A
No,
schools
no.
with
All right.
a sidewalk that
No,
doesn't
we
even
agree.
get
All
us.
Wayne County, I mean, Sheldon Road is a Wayne County road too, and it's a city road at times. So,
There's no consistency.
yeah, I
It
agree.
really isn't.
I agree.
So who will work with us to make the resolution?
Oh, I can do it.
We'll do
We
it.
don't need to speak with anybody
No,
else?
no, what we'd like for you to do is just, give us an email, look up our things, give us an email with your information on it, and then we can forward that forward.
Okay.
And I have forwarded a copy of what, I presented to Laura. She has.
Yeah, okay.
We're happy to do it, no, don't get us wrong, we're very happy. That's
great.
Just that, it's a multi-jurisdictional issue that we've had to deal with.
Okay,
Thank you,
Thank
Okay.
you for that.
and we
More than 3
appreciate
minutes.
your concern.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we're aware of it.
okay, anybody else?
Wayne Zantop, 46060 Concord. I am disappointed with our elected officials that make it so difficult to obtain FOIA information. Our inquiries are delayed, redacted, or charged outrageous prices. I hate to say as much as I disliked her, but it was easier to get information when Nancy Councilman was clerk. I'm not the only one that's fed up with the delays. Just for FOIA information, citizens are called names and trashed on social media by an elected official. I don't believe our township is complying with the FOIA laws. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we're going to move on to consideration of the Northville Road residential rezoning. Is there somebody here on that issue? That's you? Laura Haw, do you want to start us off?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, trustees. The proposed rezoning consists of 9 separate parcels on the west side of Northville Road, just north of Hines Drive. These parcels are zoned multifamily. There are currently single-family homes on them today that have been in existence dating back to as early as 1920. The packet did include a good deal of background information on the multiple family and the single family districts and why this rezoning is needed. The short of it is that the Planning Commission and the public recommended to this body approval to rezone these properties to the multifamily to single family. And there's a recommendation that starts on page 100 to approve the requested rezonings from the R2A to the R1 district. Thank you.
Okay. So would the applicant or the advocate come forward? State your name and I think we need your address too.
And spell your last name, please.
My name is Chuck Myslinski, Myslinski, and I own the property at 14353 Northville Road. I purchased the property, currently a city resident, was so excited to be coming back to the township. The Rouge River Course is behind the property, Parkway is beyond the river course. While looking at the property, a 6-point buck and a doe climbed down into the river, scared some geese, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm in a live commercial for National Geographic. It's amazing that those parcels have that sort of exposure instead of looking at a neighbor's fence or garage or some other thing. And so I excitedly bought the property, approached the township building department to inquire about improving the property with a garage and master bedroom, bathroom. I'm now 56 years old and would like that stuff to be on the first floor. And was told by the then building chief that the small designation A meant not only were the parcels zoned multifamily, but they were zoned obsolescent, so that nothing can be done to the properties, the parcels, period. You can't add a garage, you can't change a roof line, you can only do minor maintenance, which of course has led to some of the properties falling into disrepair. I've been working with Laura, she's been outrageously helpful in the process. It was explained to me that I had two paths forward. One was to attempt to get a planning commission approval for my single parcel, which would have required a developed plan and scrutiny by a 9-member board, or how many ever serve on the planning commission, versus the normal path that a regular homeowner on an R1 zoning would take, which is simply to submit your plans to the building department. The building department would concur that you've met the side setbacks, height requirements, and all that stuff. Laura was awesome in explaining that I could do that singularly, but that if I did that as the lead for my neighbors, it would cost me nearly the same amount of money, and it would rectify what I believe is a problem. When I started to door knock, because it was asked of me at some point in the process, didn't I know this when I purchased the property? And the answer was absolutely I did not. When I started to knock on doors, neither did any of my neighbors, including both sides of Northville Road and up Clemens Circle, all share the same R2-A designation. Some of my neighbors, the neighbor to my north, has been there since he was 4 years old. He is 68 years old. They have no idea when the change occurred, when the zoning went from R1 properties to R2A properties. Laura did some research, and we believe we now have a history for that, and we're simply asking that it be returned back to R1 zoning. So the zoning, of course, R1 currently for new development is a 60 by 120 minimum lot with certain setbacks, and these old properties are 50 by, mine I think is 232. So we more than satisfy the minimum square footage based on R1 sizes, and we believe that the R1 designation gets us as close as possible to any other zoning in the township table of zoning based on the 50-foot wide lot. We'd like to be non-conforming again.
Did you say that it was R1?
It went, no.
Oh, years ago it was.
Years ago.
And what year did it change?
All the zoning maps that we have in the planning departments show it as the R2 multiple family. So
The zone, I think the zoning maps were created after the houses were there.
I think it's when the hotel went in, up above it.
Yeah, there was a hotel.
I think that's when that happened.
In the 60s, sometime in the mid-60s. Yeah. But it was never R1A, but the problem exists on the other side of the street as well, but his.
We're not discussing the east side of the road today.
The west side.
So it's just you here tonight, there's nobody else here, none of your neighbors?
No, they were at the planning commission meeting. I believe 5 neighbors showed up.
Okay.
This evening's attendance is Little League, summer camp. I'm at the lake right now.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Chuck, you did such a good job. Can you please just do it?
I gotcha.
So I'm unfortunately or fortunately here alone.
Okay.
So we, as long as our records indicate that we've saved, it doesn't indicate the date of the change.
It wasn't changed.
Pardon? Oh, it had to have been changed at one time.
Probably because you've got condos to the south, you've got Independence Village to the north.
What is?
And maybe the
Laura,
game
you
plan was
clarify
just to
this.
make it more of a all condos area overlooking the river and all that.
Independence Village showed up in about 1996 or 97.
But the hotel was there before that.
The hotel was commercial though.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was my also assumption. And what Laura maybe found out was actually prior to the development of the expressway system, there was an anticipated ramp that was going to be somewhere
That's
in that
exactly
location.
right.
And so in the 1960s, in anticipation of Northville Road becoming a thoroughfare that would connect the city of Northville and the city of Plymouth, the zoning happened then. Purely by coincidence, the condos that are at the corner of Hines and Northville Road were developed by a friend of mine and his father from high school. They did that because, surprised, they found that those homes that they removed were already ready for condo development based on the current zoning.
Right.
And so it didn't change to help them build. It was already in place and they stumbled upon that fact.
Right.
So we do believe that in the teens and the 20s, those single-family homes were, if it existed back then.
That didn't exist. There was no zoning in the teens.
Right.
Oh, that's
And
right.
then in the
Existed.
60s, when the freeway
Zoning
system
came
was
around
being
after the
contemplated.
houses were built.
Yeah, I remember they tried to get an exit there.
Yeah. That's why they
That's-
put the
that's
hotel
why they
there.
put the hotel
That's why
there.
the hotel was there.
Right, and Port
And it was a
Deceased,
Hilton.
Ed McNamara built a
Yeah.
golf
Ed.
home
Yeah.
on 5 Mile.
Ed
expecting-
fixed it.
Yeah, a similar response.
Yeah.
And so that, fortunately, that did not happen, I think, because I now own, I'd love to build a gorgeous home there on that gorgeous river frontage.
Okay.
So, what is the opinion of the property value change as a result of this? Are we going to improve or degrade their property value if somebody wants to sell? Because some of those homes are in very bad condition.
Right.
So, are they hoping to sell to a developer and make a bigger profit than if trying to sell to a homeowner, a potential homeowner who's going to have to invest a lot of money to bring the house back to a better condition?
You would only consider this hearsay, but I'm the one who's had the conversation with the neighbors. And they say that over their dead bodies, are they interested in selling to anyone, let alone a developer? He's like the furthest down the list. And then I'm not sure how this works. It's public record, so I feel okay sharing it. I basically just paid $225,000 for what will account as the cost for dirt. And so there is an attempt, there is a additional cost to me to bring that property, just the property itself, up to speed, let alone the cost it will take for me to add a residence, improve the residence. And I believe everyone on the block, all 8 of my neighbors, are very excited at the fact that Chuck is going to help all of their properties.
Are you planning to tear down your existing residence?
I did not plan to tear it down, and if you see on the map,
Yeah,
the house is the only one without frontage, way back there.
which number?
14353.
353, this one right here.
Yeah.
But
It sets back.
Sets way back. But since having purchased the property, we did a structural study on the house because the river frontage is not static. And so the back wall of the house is starting to slide in toward the river. There's foundation failures and a number of other things. So the house will most likely be removed from the property. If it's any indication to this body, my current house in the city is worth $1.1 million. I think I'm usually 5 to 7 years ahead of the curve for people recognizing value in a location, and coming down Northville Road, that's what I did when I saw that parcel. Right. I've since had friends visit the property because they say, "You're a nut, what are you doing today?" And after, if you drive down Northville Road, you'll see a wicker couch up on the roof. Friends who visit climb up on the ladder on the flat roof and then say, "Oh my gosh, if any of your neighbors decide to sell, please call us right away." So it's just an amazing little gem in the township with an amazing view and privacy galore. And I'm very excited about it.
So how do you mitigate the noise, the road noise? It's probably the noisiest
That's bad.
spot in Plymouth Township.
Yeah.
The road noise.
And fortunately, that noise is a whole lot less than the railroad I currently live near in the city. And so if you can imagine the quiet hum that becomes M14 in the middle of the night versus a clinging gate of a train that's stuck at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no comparison.
All right, well, welcome back to the township.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions or comments from the public? Then I will entertain a motion from someone.
I move to adopt Resolution 2021-08-24-55, authorizing approval of the 9 Northville Road residential rezonings, map amendments from the R2A multiple family residential district to the R1 single family residential district as recommended by the Planning Commission.
Motion is made by trustee Kermy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by clerk Vorva. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Vorva, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, item F3 is budget amendments. Ginger Moriarty, the finance director.
Thank you.
Is this the item entitled non-union employee salary adjustments?
Nope, it's fiscal year 2021 budget amendments. This
These
is-
are budget amendments for the second quarter, fiscal year 2021.
Okay,
Before you have a request to amend four of our funds this evening. First fund that we're requesting to amend is the general fund for fiscal year 21. Total fund appropriation, the amount of $248,200. Rubbish collection fund in the amount of $100. Transportation fund in the amount of $600. And the water sewer fund in the total amount of $3,000.
Rubbish is 100 or 400? Says 100 on the cover sheet. And in the motion,
100.
100. I thought you just said 4.
No, 100.
Sorry, my fault.
It's 100 on the cover, 100 in the motion, and 100 in the supporting document.
I thought you just said 400. I misheard you. No apology necessary.
The first request is for an amendment related to the workers' comp insurance. The workers' comp insurance is being requested in the amount of $17,800 across all 4 funds. The adjustment is based on a second quarter statement that was received by our workers' comp insurance. When establishing the fiscal year 2021 budget, the budget was based on the assumption and the amount of budget that had been paid during the fiscal year 2020. We had actually saw a decrease from fiscal year 19 to fiscal year 20 in the amount of 19%. So given the decrease in the amount of worker comp premium from the one year to the next year, we actually budgeted for a slight increase. However, after the first quarter, which stayed relatively the same amount as we had been paying during fiscal year 20, we saw an increase with the second quarter premium. This is based on claims that have been made against the insurance, and they have increased our premium from $26,700 per quarter to $32,900 per quarter.
What percent is that?
This is a $6,200 increase per quarter, or approximately 23%.
So we had claims, is that what you said?
There were claims made against the workman's comp insurance. We still have pending claims. We anticipate these claims to continue throughout the rest of this year. So we anticipate that the insurance will continue at the quarter that we have received as of second fiscal quarter, fiscal 21. So we don't see that the premium is going to reduce in the third or the fourth quarter.
Well, there's a department head assignment, is we need to maybe do some training on safety or work to get people to not get hurt or whatever's going on.
They're not safety issues, they're litigation issues, and there come two individuals from the fire department who are very litigious, and one of them who continues to litigate a workers' comp case even though he has left our employment.
But so that's driving the claim up, those two employees?
Pretty much.
Rubbish collection, that's not for people that collect our,
For our employees that
Our
are
employees.
in our rubbish. So we pay a premium per employee. Each employee is based on their risk rate, so insurance is different based on the
Right.
type of employee, whether it's an office worker versus a firefighter.
right?
So
But-
departments that could absorb a small change in their premium, if the premium went up $50 for that type of an employee, most likely the department could absorb that. So the total increase for the insurance for the year based on the last quarterly report that we received is about $18,700. You see that we're only requesting an increase of $17,800 because some of the general fund departments could absorb the small increase in their current year fiscal budget. The total amount that we're requesting for the general fund is $14,100, which is going to the police and the fire department, which has the largest employee or the largest staff population and has the highest premium as it relates to the amount of insurance we pay per officer. The second budget request that you see is for the fire department. The fire department total request is $80,000, which is within the general fund. The fire department is affected by wages and Social Security. This is due to a retirement that was unexpected or that was unknown at the time when we had established the fiscal year 2021 budget. This was a payout of both the employee's vacation and sick bank. And those sick banks and vacation time are also subject to FICA. In addition to that, we had excess sick payouts for employees that had excessive sick payouts that exceeded their union contracts, and those are paid out the first full pay period in January. The last item under the fire department for the pension plan, which you'll also see under the police department, is to amend the amount of the budget that we have placed in the 2021 budget for our pension or defined benefit. The defined benefit has been paid based on the employer's contribution as a phase-in contribution. Last year, the MERS actuarial prepared a calculation, and due to changes in our assumption rates, had changed the way that our contributions were going to be made from a phase-in to a no phase-in calculation. And when they did this, they increased the amount of the contribution that the employer was going to make. When we prepared the budget last year, we had been making, historically, 18, 19, 20, the contributions based on the phased-in amount, and that was what was budgeted when we set the budget for 21. It was discovered a few months ago as I was going through budget to actuals that there was the budget variance. And when I calculated that out and looked at the monthly reports and compared it back to the actuarial statement, it was discovered that we were actually paying on the no phased in. We did some inquiries to this and found out that the change was due to the change in the assumption rates. The assumption rates increase the liability that is owed to the plan. It decreases the amount of the funding ratio, which caused the increase to the amount that the employer contributes to the plan. While the dispatch increase was just slight, and they were able to absorb that within their current year's budget, the fire and the police department increases, being $60,400 and $48,100. Their budgets were too tight, and we were not able to absorb the difference between the monthly invoices for the 12 months. So while there is not a shortfall in either of their budgets at the current time, by the time we get to the end of the year, there will be. So as soon as we were made aware of the fact that we could have a budget shortfall, we determined the amount that was needed to pay the contributions for the full year, And we're here today to make an amendment to the budget for both the police and the fire department in both of these accounts. The police department also had a retirement. This was a vacation and sick payout as well. And in addition to that, excess payout for sick time. I do have those amounts if those amounts are requested.
Those amounts, the 59,400 there, is that taxable?
So that would be the vacation and sick payout for Fentner. And then in addition to that, the sick payout for all of the employees that occurred in January. So it's a combination of those two things.
So it's taxable on federal and state income tax?
Correct.
How does somebody accumulate that much?
They accumulate sick banks as allowed under their contract. So the union contracts allow individuals to accumulate up to a certain amount of sick bank. And then when they get up to a certain number of hours, any excess of sick bank gets paid out annually.
So this is mostly sick time, it's not somebody didn't take a vacation.
It could also be any vacation time because you earn your vacation this year for next year. So I'm accumulating vacation this year for 22. So as of January, if I were to retire, any sick time or vacation time that I accrue would then be eligible to be paid out as of January 1. And the last item for the building department is the same. It was also a retirement for the building director, and then the sick payout, and then the vacation time that was associated with that, and then the FICA that was associated. The last item at the bottom is the municipal insurance. This is our MMRA for our liability for the buildings, structures, the casualty insurance that we pay. We budgeted in 2021 for a 2.8% increase over the prior year. The average increase to this insurance year over year has been approximately 1.8%. So we weren't expecting, when we received the invoice this year, a 5.5% increase. So because that we had received a 5.5% increase, the amount of the invoice that we received, we showed that we had a budget shortfall of $10,600, and therefore we're requesting a budget amendment in order to make payment for our annual liability insurance.
This MMRMA?
MMRMA.
We also receive checks from them.
Yeah, we just recently did. It was like $99,000.
Because there's revenue generated by the investments of There's revenue generated by the investments of the insurance pool that is shared with all the member communities. So we just got a check for $99,000 from the MMRMA. I thought there was another one that we got earlier in the year from them.
That was in 2020. Last year, we received $200,000 approximately.
Yeah.
So while we pay a premium, we also receive a benefit
A dividend,
from
if you
having
will. Revenue.
generated from their investment pool.
So it's a dividend like you would in a mutual company because the policyholders own the company.
Right.
All right.
That's recognized as revenue, and it doesn't go back into the expenditure account.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the board? Anyone in the public? Then I would entertain a motion from a member.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move that the Plymouth Township Board of Trustees hereby adopt Resolution 2021-08-24-56, authorizing the Finance Director to amend budgets for General Fund of $248,200, Rubbish Collection in the amount of $100, Transportation Fund in the amount of $600, and Water and Sewer in the amount of $3,000, for a total appropriation of funds balance for all funds in the amount of $251,900 to the various wages, fringe benefits, and municipal liability insurance accounts.
Motion is made by Clerk Forva. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Treasurer Clinton. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Clerk Borba. Yes. Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the original item F4. This is non-union employee salary adjustments. I'm requesting a budget amendment and appropriation of no more than $26,300 for salary adjustments for our non-union employees retroactive to January 1st of this year. This also requires a budget amendment as it is a deviation from the original budget. This is virtually identical. The resolution and cover memo are virtually identical to the ones that we approved, the salary adjustments that we approved on August 25th of 2020. And I would be happy to provide you with a list of the employee salaries at a later point, but we do have an attachment to show where the funds will be coming from and budgeted in each particular department. That's the other exhibit to this item.
So how many employees are affected? Is it 4?
No, it's our non-union staff, so that would be the department heads, and by example, Sue Brams would be on that list, Dan
Ginger.
Heyman, Ginger, well, she's considered a department head, so.
Yes.
No electeds,
No
no
electeds.
deputies.
No deputies.
No deputies.
No deputy.
You can't do anyway.
No.
Has to be done separately.
No deputy clerks, no deputy treasurers.
So electeds, trustees have not had an increase in a long, long time.
Yeah, you did. You're back in December.
That was a long time ago.
2%. Well, Bob, then, you know what? We'll talk, because the year is not over yet.
Why do we do this retroactively? I don't want to do
Yes, good.
It's retroactive. Retroactive is really an unusual way of doing things.
Really, it's not, and
Well,
especially with labor agreements, but.
Well, with labor agreements, it's only because, remember, they took it away and then they put it back for police and fire, but for everybody else, it isn't.
But in this case, it gives us time from the beginning of the year to a date certain when we have time to evaluate the employees. We work with them every day. We know their strengths and weaknesses, and they're rewarded accordingly.
And we get to look at our budget.
Is this across the board, or is there variability?
It amounts to it's about a 2% pay raise for everybody.
So it's between 2 and 3%.
Correct. But more on the 2 side. What we did last year, same amount.
Year before.
And I believe the year before. Yes. The first year we started here, there was no pay raise, just because things were too chaotic. But I believe for 20 and for 19 and for 18, we've been doing 2%.
I think we should get on not doing retroactive for the future.
Well, this is in lieu of doing it at the beginning of the year. And so what we're able to do is to do evaluations and then see what our budget situation is. And then whether we did it in the beginning and they earned it all this time, or we do it now and go back, it's still the same amount of money.
Okay, any other comments or questions from the board or from the public? Then I will move that the Plymouth Township Board of Trustees hereby adopt Resolution 2021-08-2457, authorizing the Finance Director to amend the budget and appropriate fund balance for the fiscal year 2021 wages, Social Security, and 401A defined contribution expenditure amounts for the 101 General Fund in the amount of $16,700 and for the 592 Water and Sewer Fund in the amount of $9,600. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Clerk Vorva. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes, this will be the last time without seeing the names and retroactive for me.
Okay.
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes, but I would also echo that request.
Okay. Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Next is the original item 5. This is contract renewal with Huron Valley Ambulance. Chief Phillips. Nope.
Okay, how about now?
Now we can.
There we go. All right, the rain has stopped, so hopefully we'll all be dry when we go home. This is a renewal to a contract we already have with HVA. As you know, we've utilized Huron Valley Ambulance since 1989. The only changes to this contract from the last are the dates, and on the very last page, you'll see their updated fee structure. As you know, if HVA increases their fee by a certain percentage every year, they would have to go before the board. They have not in the previous 2 years. They provided me with their upgraded fee schedule. It is below what they are allowed to increase on a yearly basis. I would recommend we approve it, and I am here for any questions.
This is again a 2-year contract?
This is a 2-year contract, yes.
And one of the reasons why it's 2-year, one of the reasons why we're renewing it is because of COVID. We really have not been able to generate good data on runs and efficiencies and protocols. It's a tough market right now for the private ambulance business probably across the country, right, Chief, at this point?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was only two companies that bid for this contract. One of those companies has been bought out and is no longer a corporation. They are now a subsidy of another ambulance provider in the area.
You mean that was 2 years, one of the bidders from 2 years ago?
That's correct, yes.
It's Beaumont, I think. Do we have a contact person now? I know that our regular guy has left.
Yeah, our previous guy left. I got in contact with the new gentleman who is originally from Albion Ambulance, which is a division of HVA, and he's now our contact person.
Okay. All right, then. Any other questions?
How are they doing for us? The service they're giving our community. I realize they're having some financial squeezes.
So the ambulance service in the state of Michigan has been in a very tight place for the last 7 years. We've had a increased difficulty in finding trained paramedics statewide. As such, a lot of ambulance companies have gone out of business. Municipalities have had to take over in the north side of the state because private ambulance companies just can't get the staff and they can't remain competitive. Huron Valley Ambulance has had the same problems, and then now when you add that onto the COVID problems and the fact that most places can't find employees, they are in a really tough squeeze. That's what we spoke about most, is this. They have a problem finding staff. Just Monday of this week, we had an emergency in the township, and they literally could not send an ambulance because they didn't have enough people show up for work that day. So while on some days they're good, other days it's very difficult for them just to find enough staff. But when they are there, they are doing a good job. They're transporting our patients. When they cannot, our firefighters are stepping in and transporting the hospital. If you look at our revenue for this year, our revenue is probably the highest it's ever been because we've transported a lot more often.
So do they have applicants that are just not good fits, or do they not have applicants?
I believe they don't have applicants, that they're hiring as many as they can. One of the problems we've had for like the last decade is there's not enough people entering the field. So like Schoolcraft colleges had whole semesters where they don't even hold a class to train paramedics or basic EMTs. So that's literally a statewide problem. We also have another problem of the physicians that monitor paramedic and EMS services are saying that we need to improve our skill level and we need more skilled personnel. So we need to increase the amount of training and increase the amount of school that paramedics have to go in. And those two items just don't jive. If you need to go to school more, you're going to become a nurse or a doctor or a physician's assistant, not a paramedic.
As a matter of fact, I heard just maybe about a week or two ago, the head of HVA was on WJR elaborating this issue, that even when they do get people in to do this work, they're on a path to where they want to go somewhere else. They want to become a nurse. They want to join a fire department. They want to, and in some cases, I mean, you had some pre-med people who are involved in those jobs just for experience, and that they have this transition that's going on even when they do get people. So that was what he was relating on WJR a couple weeks ago.
We ourselves hire HVA medics. We've hired several over the years to come work for our fire department.
So the fire department, in a sense, is competing with the private ambulance service for resources.
Probably all of them.
And
for resources, I would say right now that all employers are fighting over resources. There's just not that much of a labor pool out there right now.
Hospitals, I was talking to a job placement, president of a job placement firm, and he said one of his clients is a major hospital, and he says they have hundreds of vacancies in the medical field that they're not able to fill.
And if I could just add one little personal note here. Last month, my wife had an emergency, and she needed ambulance service, and the fire department did a wonderful job, got her to the hospital, and she's well now, but it was a really serious emergency. I had to perform CPR, and she's fine now. So thank you to the fire department for their service.
Wow.
So you ready for a motion?
Yep.
I move that the Board of Trustees adopt Resolution 2021-08-24-58, authorizing the paramedic ambulance services agreement with Huron Valley Ambulance, Inc., and authorize the supervisor and clerk to sign on behalf of the township.
Motion's been made by trustee Kermy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by clerk Vorva. Mr. Clerk, I'm sorry, John, trustee Stewart.
Stewart.
Mr. Clerk.
No, it was Dorshevitz.
Okay, seconded by Dorshevitz. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Trustee Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Clerk Vorba, yes. Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, very good. Next up is going to be our discussion with the Planning Commission. I'd like to take about a 7-minute recess, reconvene at 8:05 so we can get these tables set up. Your mics, please make sure your mics are off.
Thank you for coming. Ron Griffin.
Yes.
Abe Munbuck.
And
88 to 92.
and Mary Brooks,
And Mary Brooks.
who just passed away.
God love her. And Maury Green set me on the board as a trustee right next to Mary Brooks. And Mary Brooks found there to be a lot of BS and told me about it. Not much has changed.
All right. I don't know if Ken Gardner has us back on TV or not.
Yes, he does.
Does he? Okay. All right, so this is our meeting with the Planning Commission. I would ask that everybody in the audience please refrain from other discussion. You can always go out in the hall if you wish. So the joint meeting with the Planning Commission, this was requested by Dennis Cebulski and also by Laura Haw, just so that we can, match names with faces. It's been a while since we've had any kind of meeting like this. We've had some new members in the last 5 years, and obviously some returning members, and we appreciate your wisdom and background. It's just kind of important for us to again match names with faces and to make sure that we're all sort of in harmony and on the right page on some of the bigger picture issues that come up. I'd like to just hand it over to Laura at this point to kind of at least kick off the discussion. And it's 8:05 right now, and we still have another agenda item tonight. So, if we can kind of use 9 o'clock as it's 8:05, if we can use 9 o'clock as our cutoff, that would be great.
If we can still just call the planning commission
Sure.
meeting to order, which I'll call the meeting to order at 8:05, I think.
Yep, 8:05.
And if the secretary will call roll.
Dennis Cebulski.
Here.
John Itzel.
Here.
Keith Postel.
Here.
Kendra Barberina is here. Bob Ostendorf.
Here. Thank you, and then we'll turn over to Ms. Hall.
We only have 6 members.
And Bill Pratt is excused.
Bill Pratt is excused.
And Bob Dorshevitz.
I'm very conflicted right now.
You should sit here in the middle.
Yeah, he's in the middle. He always is.
Right here.
Okay, Laura.
Okay, thank you. First, I just wanted to commend these two bodies on taking the step to meet together. It's very important, and we're seeing many communities do this at least annually to kind of get on the same page. On packet page 96, there are a list of topics for discussion tonight. I think maybe one of the most pressing items is the cluster housing. This does impact the policy of the master plan and the zoning ordinance, traffic. So I think this might be a good spot to start. There are limited properties left in the township that could be developed as cluster housing. And maybe think about the last 10 years residential developments that have gone in and what you have liked about those developments that you would like to see continued. It's easy to pick out what you don't like about a development, but I think if we can try to focus on what did work, then that will help drive the future vision. Even if it's a neighborhood in a different community where you say, wow, this neighborhood looks great, there was wonderful planning done here, great landscaping, I think that's important to share as well.
So where are we right now on the master? Keep this on. Where are we right now on the master plan?
Right now, it's out for distribution and comment. We haven't received too many comments. We did have...
With who? With who? Distribution and comment with the state?
With all the surrounding municipalities,
Oh.
CSX, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But also the public. And we've had a couple individuals come to the Planning Commission meeting to talk about some items, this rezoning that we just talked about tonight, that also impacts the future land use map. It's currently planned for multifamily, so that's something that we will need to correct in the adoption process.
Is it on the website, the master plan?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I guess I'll tee it up. Obviously, the cluster housing has been a hot topic for a couple of years now, for sure. Even though we've granted, I think, 31 cluster housing projects over the last 30 years or so. One of the things that's important to me, and it's on this list here, is the whole Plymouth Road, Haggerty, Schoolcraft corridor. So if you were to go from like where Courthouse Grill is right now, or the old Courthouse Grill, the courthouse, the Burroughs Building, all the way eastward on Plymouth Road, and if you were to go up Haggerty past Lock Performance and Wabasto and all those people up to Schoolcraft, that area is changing. And I really think it's changing for the better because we're seeing the rehabilitation, the rebirth of the Burroughs Building. I think you're going to see some good news soon on the old Doer Building, which is could potentially be a huge reuse of an old facility. And also, obviously with Wabasto and the jobs that that's bringing in. But then that whole Schoolcraft Haggerty corridor there, it's kind of a mishmash of things. We've got heavy industry on the south side of Schoolcraft, and we have a church and some homes on the north side, and we're very compatible. And I know that when we did a couple of years ago, when we did our Citizens Advisory Council, that was one of the zones that we were looking at, that the commission or the council was looking at for future development. And Laura, I don't know where does that stand right now with the master plan? And Bob, could you just go on the satellite there? Satellite map and just kind of bring up, go to where Wabasto is right now. Okay, and just pull out a little bit more. So I'm talking primarily about this area here. We've got the Sikh temple, and then we have this undeveloped area. It's old homes that basically got cut off by the freeways. We have a junkyard down here. We have a landscaping company here. Heavy industry, obviously, on both sides. We do have another self-storage unit that's going to be coming in right here. I don't know if that's come before the Planning Commission yet.
Is that going to be on top of the old landfill?
It's going to be in this is a brownfield area right here.
Yeah, that was a landfill.
Yeah.
Essentially between the railroad track, railroad track to Schoolcraft, or is it? Yeah, Schoolcraft.
Okay.
So they're going to build on the landfill.
Yeah. Well, it's a good location for a brownfield site because it's going to be it'll encapsulate the former dump site. So anyway, just my 2 cents is that this area right here, we just want to make sure that it stays consistent. I think we really need to start focusing more on more industry, more job creation in this area. I think all of these parcels are for sale right now in some form or another. And anyway, just something to think about. And then Bob, if you could scroll south towards Burroughs. So we're getting a lot of action right now, not only with Burroughs and obviously with Rivian that we're really proud of, but Lock Performance, they're looking to sell this parcel here on the corner, which is also contaminated. We have the district court here, we have the courthouse grill. That is slated to be a 4-story apartment building. And have you gotten the drawings on that yet? No? Okay. So that'll be coming probably before the end of the year. Burroughs is doing better. I wish that Rivian had not moved so many of their people to California. I think that was a big mistake, but they'll be back. And the Burroughs building is doing not as well as it should be, but I think they're doing pretty darn good considering COVID and everything else. And then Bob, if you could just pull out, we've got the Concept Drive here. These parcels are being developed. We've given approvals to new office buildings here. And then again, we have the Doer building, Bob, which is just
Pull out a little bit.
Pull out a little bit more.
Right
This
there.
is the Doer building here. It was built in the 1940s, I believe, and the office is up here. We have a significant automotive-related company that I think will be acquiring that building. I hope. So anyway, just kind of keep an eye on what's going on around there, and I think what we see is consistent, but I'd prefer to see more industry in that area. And then obviously we've got the MITC corridor, and things are progressing there despite COVID. The state of Michigan still owns the old prison property itself, so that's the State of Michigan Land Bank. They are in discussions with Redico as the developer for the prison site, and they're having their ups and downs. This corner here is owned by Hillside. This is all owned still by Adient. This is obviously the Ridge 5 Hillside development. And Bob, if you could just pull out a little bit more.
Has anybody built on Ridge 5?
We have, I believe they've secured two tenants that should be beginning construction next year.
It's interesting, the satellite photo has the road cut in. It's a newer photo.
Oh, it's all set.
Yeah.
Then this area here is the Detroit parcel, and there's renewed interest there. We met with some developers about a month ago who said that they were on the verge of signing a contract with the city of Detroit. And I've been in touch with a couple other officials from Detroit who are asking a lot of questions about that property. So we're getting good nibbles on all of those. So anyway, I don't know if that requires a response from you guys, but just to kind of let you know where we are on that.
So any word on, I saw some email about that what appeared to be the Elks property?
Yeah.
Toll Brothers, are they the proposed developer?
Laura, you want to take that one?
Well, Toll Brothers is working on that project. They are a partner. They'll be responsible for the condo residential, and the other half is apartments.
But not Toll Brothers?
Correct.
Somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
I think Toll Brothers is the builder though, right?
For the condos, right?
Yeah, I was surprised how big that parcel is. That's what, 30?
Well, who owns the land?
32 or 36?
Pomeroy.
Pomeroy is the landowner.
Yes.
Toll Brothers is doing the building and going to own some condominiums or apartments or
They're condos, townhouses.
townhouses.
For sale, yeah.
The same kind, similar look as to what is on Mill Street against the railroad track in the city of Plymouth?
Not that tall.
Well, then,
No,
okay, then we've got some on Ann Arbor Road, near AutoZone or,
Yeah, that
what are they,
step
what are they
up.
gonna look
Red
like?
Olive?
Yeah, where they have step up.
These are three-story apartment buildings.
They are?
Apartments are 3-story.
The apartments are 3 stories, yes. The townhouses, I believe, are 2 with the garage underneath. They haven't submitted a formal application at this time. I don't have dimension drawings of anything.
So the planning commission has not seen the latest drawings?
Yes, they have. They met with the developer at a study session,
Okay,
and that is the most current plans that we have.
okay.
The architecture is sort of, they're going like what a
Is your
farmhouse-
mic on, Dennis?
Pardon?
Is your
Yes,
mic on?
just put it toward me, there you go.
gotta get closer.
They're sort of looking like, I don't think farmhouse is quite the right description for it.
Rural looking.
Yes.
But my comment about the ones in the city of Plymouth, I mean, I don't think that having that many steps is a positive thing long-term. I think it limits their marketability, and they're ugly. They just like grow out of the ground like a skyscraper.
Yeah, their market, they told us, their market is young professionals. So I guess I would put the emphasis on young. You have to be climbing those stairs.
We have comparable ones on Ann Arbor Road.
Yeah.
Behind Red Olive.
Right.
Those are brutal. You
Right.
and I have walked those.
Well, they were cut short. That development was supposed to be much bigger, but the market wasn't there, and it
Yeah, the
didn't
market
happen.
crashed, dude.
Yeah, it just wasn't there.
Another area that I'd like to focus on, Bob, would be the old steak and nail site. This is a challenging property for all of us, primarily because the owners have, they always hold out for top dollar, and they, surprise, surprise, don't get it. And we've had a lot of inquiries on this corner, but nothing solid, obviously. I think currently we've been approached, I'd say within the last couple of years, we've been approached by a couple of hotels that have been interested, at least one restaurant. There's the hotel in the back there, the Comfort Inn, could probably use a facelift or a rebranding of some sort to.
And they just did one.
Okay, well, rebranding may not be the correct terminology, but at least an update on the facility itself.
Yeah, there was
Ben
gonna be
might do
that,
that.
what's that Marriott boutique brand again?
There's a lot.
There's
Pardon
several
me?
of them, yeah.
At Home, that's a Hilton brand.
No, what's,
Ayla?
you
Courtyard.
know, Mark, you're familiar with this, with the Marriott boutique hotel they were gonna build there?
Aloft.
Yeah, that's it.
There was a plan to put an A-loft and a courtyard connected, two
Yeah.
buildings with different concepts. That fell through several years ago.
Yeah.
Bob, if you could just pull out a little bit more there. We've got 9 acres behind the Comfort Inn. That's also owned by the same family. And we're getting a lot of inquiries on that parcel for high-density apartments, condos, again, for the mobile, younger professional type who just wants to get close to the freeway.
What's interesting about that Elks property, particularly for that demographic, is that that property, if you go north, is only 9/10 of a mile to downtown Plymouth. It's
Exactly.
walkable,
It's awesome.
and you don't really think of
It's a
it.
great site.
Yeah, it's a
In
ideal.
this
site.
property right here.
No,
No,
the
no,
Elks
no,
property.
Elks.
Elks.
Elks
Oh,
Lodge.
Elks, okay.
If you go north out of there, you're in downtown Plymouth in under a mile.
That's part of their selling point.
Yeah, for young professionals in
Well, hopefully
apartments.
then they will revamp that neighborhood because the streets don't drain well,
Right.
They're dirt.
flooding
Yeah.
regularly.
Part of their proposal is to pave those streets, isn't it?
Well, what we're looking to do with the developer, I was hoping that we could do, that we could attach the neighborhood to the north. So that's Michael, East Side,
Oh,
General
down.
Drive.
Yeah, right
If
there.
we could attach that neighborhood to the brownfield and use the brownfield to pave the roads, curb and gutter, sidewalks, the whole works. I've been told, though, by our experts that I can only attach adjacent and contiguous properties if we are basically a low to moderate income community, or otherwise distressed. I believe that's the key
I mean,
term.
the whole community or just the neighborhood?
The whole community.
Oh.
I know that this neighborhood in the past has looked at CDBG money for sidewalks and streets, and they've been denied because they just don't have they still don't have they don't meet the requirements.
This is all dirt, right?
Dirt.
all dirt.
It's all dirt.
Yeah.
Furwood is dirt, General
Furwood,
Drive,
Michael.
Michael, it's all dirt.
Yeah.
No curb, no gutter, no drainage. We get a lot of complaints and have been for many years. Now, that being said, there's another way we could get around this, and that is we could incorporate that neighborhood as part of an SAD. And then, if we were to take that neighborhood and merge it with the new development to the south and turn it into a special assessment district, that means the developer would bear the cost of the SAD for his roads, and then the neighbors to the north would still have to pay something, I presume, but it would be a lot less than what we've been looking at. And we could get creative. Maybe we can use COVID money or something, but I don't want to create any false expectations here. But we're definitely looking to. I would love to see that neighborhood to the north paved. We're getting a lot of new homes in there. A lot of people are investing money into that neighborhood, and the developer desperately needs it because nobody's going to go to downtown Plymouth through the dirt roads and the muck and the potholes, especially in the spring and winter. And I think it would just be fair to everybody concerned and be a heck of a selling point. So a lot of moving parts, and we've got to be nice to the developer to make sure that they want to play ball with us. Pardon me?
I said, and it's on the railroad tracks.
Hey, some people like being that close to the rails. I mean, I know our other gentleman earlier tonight didn't like that, but I guess
don't know if anybody
some people
likes
are okay
it.
with it. Yeah.
There's just-
The packaging company there that's in that neighborhood,
Yeah.
how active are they? Are they expanding? They growing?
I think they're divided into several entities, aren't they?
Tenants, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's not a packaging company?
Not anymore.
100% or
You
at
talking
all?
about this building
Yeah,
here?
at all. Yeah.
At all, okay.
And I think part of that building is
In the city.
is in the city.
Part of the buildings in the city?
Yeah.
Or the parking lot or something.
That's
Parking
right
lot,
on the border, so it makes
The
sense.
rear of the building might be, part of it might be in the city for taxing purposes.
Oh.
Another little quirk.
Quirk.
Okay.
So you said you wanted to talk about developments that appear to be good or bad? I've got one, very expensive neighborhood. It's called the Ravines, I think, on Ann Arbor Trail.
South?
Yeah, that appears to be claustrophobic to me, and they all look alike. But what do I know? Because people are paying $1 million to live there. So I'm not really proud of that development. It just doesn't.
Which one is that?
It's on the south side of Ann Arbor Trail, between McClumpha and Canton Center. I think it's called the Ravines, is that correct?
Tuscany, isn't it?
Or is it Tuscany?
Ravines isn't that?
Oh, that's Menards, right?
Menards.
So Tuscany is the one that Leo Gonzalez initiated.
He was a part.
He's sitting right there.
Right, I know.
Right over there.
That's why do you think I said it?
We can see him.
All right, I think that one, although, hey, they're selling for $1 million, so that's great.
That's what he's doing. Another parcel that may be a challenge for us in the future is Beck and Ann Arbor Trail. That's the old Peacock House or the Llama House. I know
The Hobbit House.
A Hobbit House. That's still for sale, I believe, Laura. And depending on what the vision is for that corner, that could be a very challenging site down the road. Is it possible to do a cluster housing there?
The acreage is so small that it wouldn't get you any more units.
Yeah.
It's this one right here.
Yeah, the Hobbit House.
And then to the south, Laura, the island,
there.
we just got one house there, but I don't know how much of that area is even buildable. I know that corner, all the corners are
For sale.
a challenge. I mean, that lower corner at Beck and Ann Arbor Road is just been a tough one.
And
the corner that.
And the part that used to be, the roadhouse, there's a house there's property for sale right now also.
Right here.
Right there, yeah.
Where, there used to be a,
A restaurant.
Used to be a restaurant, the Roadhouse.
The Roadhouse.
It was very famous at one time.
Used to be kind of rough people hang out at
Well,
one
it used to
time.
be infamous, yes.
Patrick Swayze showed up there at one time and he cleaned it all up. There's a movie about it.
I think there was at least one murder or shooting there.
only one?
Yeah.
Only one.
And this parcel is just, that's a challenge.
Is that the one that was,
There was a house there and
it was
it's-
clear
Down all
cut?
the trees.
They cut the trees
He
down?
cut all the trees down, doggone it, and he died shortly after.
Trees
So-
got
Tree
even.
fell on him.
Anyway, and then to the north here, Bob, that corner, I don't know if any of that is developable. I know they managed to squeeze a house in here, but
Got quite a grade too.
seems pretty hilly
It's a
around
heavy
here.
grade, yeah.
And this, I think, is all wetlands here, right, Laura?
Well, is there a drag on office space
Oh, yeah.
and hotels and restaurants because of COVID? In other words, it's not very profitable business. So is the demand going to go down for office space, hotel space, and restaurant space?
I
No?
think I think the hotel market in the 275 corridor is saturated, but we still get inquiries about hotels.
St. John's.
And
Okay,
the
so
Inn at
there is a
St. John's.
drag on it, is what you think, right? On at least
I do.
hotels.
I think there's just I think it's saturated. I think the market is for hotels, but I'm not a real estate expert. I just know what I see.
So isn't the Hilton Garden Inn for sale, or?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I thought it
Well,
was.
St. John's was transferred to the Pulte Trust.
Yeah.
And they're planning another
Tower.
Are they?
Hotel tower?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's right. They've got a billboard right inside their main lobby. It's in there right now. They want to build a second tower connected to the current one. They want to build a 15,000 square foot banquet facility in addition to what they've got, a spa, and then major upgrades to their hotel rooms.
Did they ever, I know that, I think it was Bill Pulte himself, came in one of the dormitories of that old seminary, and they were going to put additional rooms there. Did that ever happen? 'Cause-
No, they wanted to, that was one of the plans, but it became cost prohibitive. It was just too expensive to have to rehab. That's what they told us. It was too expensive to rehab that old part of the building. Cardinal Maida, his brother, and a couple other priests still live there, and they don't want to move them, so they're just going to stay in place, and the church is going to handle that, at least some of that building, and then they'll continue to own the chapel. But everything else will now be in the hands of the Pulte Family Trust. And everybody thinks, well, they're going to build homes like they did talk about doing a few years ago. They insist that that is not the case and that they have no intentions to.
Well, that was Toll
build
Brothers
homes.
that came with that proposal.
Through the golf course?
Yeah.
Build giant homes, yeah.
Yeah, that was along M14.
Well, actually, they were
gonna-
this was in 2017 and 18. They were
Yeah.
going to take out golf holes. And,
Yeah, they were gonna cut, because they have what, 27 holes there now? And
They
were
were
gonna
gonna cut
take out
down to
9.
18.
Yeah.
But was that Pulte or was it Toll Brothers?
It was Toll Brothers.
That's what I thought,
Yeah.
yeah.
The entrance was going to be off of Sheldon, and there was going to be a small commercial building, 1 or 2 commercial buildings.
Right.
Yeah, and just one road,
Right.
yeah.
So getting back to how do we balance the neighborhood concerns with the cluster housing? I voted no on a couple of them because I thought they were too tight. Margate and Purcell. And
So
we
let's
still
talk
have
about
Cookie.
what the point of a cluster housing option is and maybe make sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Originally, it was to preserve features and trees and things, but of late, that hasn't been the outcome. The outcome is to have the density, but nothing gets preserved because there was nothing there to preserve in many cases anyway. In the case of Purcell property, there's nothing there. And Margate, there was nothing there but scrub.
The one
Flat.
example, and it's a small example, is the one off of Beck Road. Forgot now the name.
Corona?
Verona Park?
Verona
Park?
Park. And so when you go down Edinburgh, it comes off of Beck Road, there are some strand of trees there. There's quite an elevation change there. They left the trees.
Yeah.
Whether or
But
not.
that's about it. It was kind of a token. So I guess we need to really think, what is the real spirit of cluster housing?
Yeah.
And how do we avoid being bamboozled or duped or excited to do something and make a bad decision? And we have one that's cooking, which is on Ridge Road, the Northridge Church property that they've sold or want to sell. So tell us how we work smarter.
Well, I think we look to you also for some direction. You've sent some back to us, the Menard property that you mentioned before. We approved a certain number of units, and then you remanded it back to us and asked us to cut back. And I think we all feel that we should be somewhat on the same page, or if we wanted those extra units, there should be some good justification for that. So we kind of look toward you too as to what comfort level do you have? And I am a firm believer that we do need to look at what the applicant is presenting and what are they preserving, or what benefit is it to the community to get those extra units?
So do we have to develop a check sheet or?
So there's criteria within the ordinance. And in order, we have, as part of the discussion, talk about the criteria within the ordinance. I think we just need to be, all of us collectively, maybe need to be a little truer. Because in my opinion, I think the Northridge Church issue kind of brought that to a head. In a way that probably I wish it would have been a little bit different, but it brought it to a head.
Yeah, I don't think we have to create more paperwork, more policies. I think the definition of what a cluster housing option is very clear in the documentation. And I think collectively, at least it's been my opinion, I've voted against every cluster housing option that's come up in the past 2 years because in my own mind, I've tried to enforce that definition of what a cluster housing option is, which is the preservation of natural resources or providing something of unique value to the community, whether it be walkways or pavilions or those types of things. And the ones that have been presented, like you said, with Margate or with the old Purcell House, didn't meet that criteria in my mind, so that's why I voted against them. If it's just another way of getting more houses in a smaller parcel of land, I'll vote against it every time.
So in that vein then, is there something in the real estate market that says people want closer in housing? They don't want yards?
Generally, that's what people have been going to, is that they want more square footage and less yards to take care of. And that's what's been going on. If you see downtown Plymouth, you see downtown Northville, people are wanting more amenities in the structure and less amenities in the outside of the house. And because they don't want to spend their time doing those type of functions that you and I did as a kid, of mowing the yards and putting in bushes and planting, flowers and stuff. They don't want to spend their time doing that. And so they want the amenities on the inside that they're enjoying.
I don't know.
That's what's been selling.
I don't know if I agree with that as a broad brush. I would frame that as, people want all of the above. The question is, what is the mix? Because there is a subset of the population that wants bigger yards. They sell. The houses with bigger yards have been selling.
Well, COVID is.
But not a third of the people. So what we ought to be doing is we ought to be looking across, looking at it from a macro level and saying, a certain percentage of our homes should be apartments. A certain percentage should be, as you described. I mean, it's easy to.
Bob, the whole thing is to have a diverse housing stock. That's the key.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
buzzword. And I think what we're offering right now is definitely that. We have the Verona Parks, and not Verona Park, we have the Tuscanies and the others that are going for $1 million a piece. And yet we're talking about 3-story apartments on Plymouth Road or at the Elks Lodge. I think Margate is going to be very different for us as a community. It's going to be similar to what we've seen in Canton with Cherry Hill Village. Now, that's not my speed. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Cherry Hill Village. It's not my cup of tea. But I can see as time goes on, I might want to be on a single-story building that I don't have to worry about the trees or the yard or anything, because people will take care of that. And I want buried utilities, so my power is not out for 4 days like it was last week. And so I want those amenities because I want to be able to go to Florida for 3 months a year. I don't want to have to worry about that. So we've got to offer a diverse stock. We've got this hospital coming in. We've got Amazon coming in. We're going to have a lot of good paying jobs that are going to be going to younger people with high incomes who are transient, meaning that they're mobile. They're going to work 3 years here, and then they're going to go to Ann Arbor. Or they're going to go to Grand Rapids. They have no. They're not.
They're not community
tied
builders.
To the community. Right. So I can tell you right now, when you look at the Pomeroy built project at the Elks Lodge, they're catering to a lot of that Henry Ford Hospital, Amazon crowd. I can tell you right now, we've got doctors and nurses moving into the community right now from Oakland County, from Macomb County, because they're going to be working at the Henry Ford facility.
Yeah, no, I think you nailed it.
So it's diverse.
Diversity.
We got to have a diverse housing stock and not just be cookie cutter. And I think we're really moving really well in that direction.
Yeah, I agree. We have mobile homes here. There's 900 of them.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize that.
Yeah.
We also have, more than half of our, not a third of our SEV is industrial.
Yeah.
And commercial, right?
Yeah.
About a third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say 30%.
Yeah.
All right. So people would never believe that because they're moving to this community and they don't recognize that how much industry is in the area. So there's a lot for people to move into in Plymouth. So I think we're doing a good job, but we need what little land we have now. We want to make sure every one of those bullets count and we get something that has longevity and is desirable for people, I hope, 10, 20, 30 years from now, 40 years from now. So not just today.
In getting back to cluster housing, I'm on the same same as you are, Mark, that this cramming additional houses into living units into a given space is really wrong. And we don't have that much space. And what you said before, that people don't want to take care of lawns. Yeah, they don't want a building next outside of their little community either. They want to be surrounded by some natural features. And if there aren't natural features, then you can put them in. But that's really what the people are looking for, is little enclaves of things. And that's the only reason to cram people closer together, because they can control that. And we should be changing the ordinance, in fact, I think, to require parallel plans, which are now voluntary. So a developer comes in and says, hey, I want to build this thing. Okay, what's the parallel plan? And why do you have to insist on having more units, have more space around it? And if you have to create the space, that's an asset to the community. And the emphasis hasn't been on preserving natural features. And that's really bugged me for quite some time. It's one thing when it's not feasible to develop an area. And you have, even like Purcell, what are you gonna do? But you try and put as much vegetation and things around them. Places that, where we can surround the places with a nice environment, I think is the way to go, rather than just trying to cram more people into the thing. If you have a parallel plan, you have to have a damn good reason to put more units in the cluster than the parallel plan would have in it.
Well, I think that's what's interesting is that we have different opinions here, and usually that will blend into, good decision-making. And when you realize in the past 10 years, when I see the numbers from the census, we only went up 400 people. And Canton went up like 10,000 people. And Northville Township went up about 2,000 or 3,000 people. So it's good that we have, people both on the planning commission and the board here, with some differing opinions, and sometimes we can blend that into some good products that are going to be beneficial not only to developers but also to the public at large. So I think that's good.
Well, parallel plan, the planning commission and the planning director can ask for that. In fact, in the 90s, parallel plan was always received. Always. We didn't rely on the goodwill.
It's asked frequently, but not always. It ought to be a requirement to put it in. In
So
fact,
that you people can do that.
My opinion is table the motion until they supply the parallel plan. It won't take too many cases, yes, but there are times when we haven't, and it's just kind of grinds me that we're using it to cram more bodies into a given space without really thinking about how good the space is.
I think we also had that problem with the successors and assigns, particularly the property across from the picnic basket.
Yeah.
So that one, maybe you can summarize, because originally, I don't think I was on the planning commission when that was originally approved.
Was that Randazzo's project?
Randazzo, originally.
And it was a cluster housing?
No.
No.
It was not a cluster housing, but it was
When it was approved
considerably
as a
different.
cluster housing and then changed developers.
Yeah.
And that's another thing we should update the ordinance. In that if you change developers, you have to go through the process again, because that is not turning out the way it was supposed to.
Although that's kind of difficult. Doesn't the plan flow with the land?
Yeah, it usually flows with the land.
So
It
isn't there
does.
a law? Isn't that part of the law in the
Then
state?
how did that happen then?
We looked at the architecture, they were gonna be custom homes.
Right.
So, similar to the Purcell property, we don't control what, people have the right to have a house look the way they want it. But they did show us the types of houses that would be there, a lot of gabling, high-end light fixtures, fancy brickwork coins, limestone cuts, and that kind of thing. And so that's what was approved. But then when the current developer purchased that property, that's not the home that, it doesn't even come close to the concept that the planning commission had approved.
So the result is a downgraded from what you thought we were going to get?
A lot of the commissioners do feel it's a downgrade.
Is that subdivision completed?
Yeah.
All sold
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 out.
out.
They're all going for like
870,
900 to $1 million.
Yeah.
Were they really?
Yes, sold out.
Sold out.
Is that it's, the retention pond is in the front because of the topography.
Just like that.
And I think it's usually good to bury it in the back.
Well, there is a conservatory toward the back. We were trying to preserve the trees.
Gotcha.
So there's an example.
Were they preserved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can just, we're running short of time, but one thing that I wanted to bring up, we're in the midst of looking at the master plan, and when the commission was meeting on this, one of the ideas that came up is that, when you look at the old one and we're developing the new one, should there be, I think the majority of the commission feels this way, that we should look back at the old master plan and see what the goals were. Did we meet those goals? Because oftentimes it's just put there and no one ever goes back and looks at it. And one of the things has to deal with things that are beyond the township's control, like with Wayne County. And I wanted to make sure Bob Ostendorf has an opportunity to comment on some feelings he has about the cooperation between the township and the Wayne County.
He needs a mic.
Set the mic in front of him there.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a couple observations. First of all, relative to the Pulte development across Ridge Road, it's an eyesore. If you've been out there, 50% of the trees are dead that were supposed to be the big evergreens. If you drive from there, even to Washington County, okay, or go north to Northville, it's a blight. And as
Help me out, where, Ridge Road and where?
Ridge Road and Ann Arbor Road,
Across from the picnic basket.
right across from the picnic basket.
Okay.
There were some huge evergreens planted there, and most of them are dead. In addition to that, the pond has never been cleaned up, and I guess it changed developers, okay? Which leads me to the traffic issues as well. Traveling that road regularly, the speed limit, and as we all know, M14 is overloaded. So majority of the traffic that goes Ann Arbor Road from Ann Arbor to Plymouth. And the speed limit is 55 miles an hour through Ridge Road down to almost back. It's 45 around the curve. And there's a huge dip in the road. And there's no way that the traffic limit or the speed limit on that traffic should be 55 miles an hour. I've seen 3 accidents there. I live there. Okay, and if you go on that Arbor Trail up to that road, there's no turn limit up there. You get up to the top of Beck on that Arbor Trail, and there's one lane, that's a partial lane, and no left turn limit lane. So people are constantly hitting or going. I mean, the police chief and I could sit there and I could write 15 tickets in a day for people running through that light. So it's an accident waiting to happen. So my comment is, and I got 3 other examples, but my comment is there needs to be a dialogue, in my mind, between the township and Wayne County. I don't know if they know what our issues are. And if they are, they're not addressing them.
Probably more.
Okay, because it's really a light and a lane. You have the same problem at the end of Ann Arbor Trail, down by Sheldon, when it gets to the city, right in front of the schools. Again, people don't know whether they're going left or right, so you have the issue as well there. Same thing on North Territorial going to Panama. So I don't know what the dialogue is between us and the county, but I would hope that we have a vehicle to look at Wayne County and say, what about this? What about that? In my mind, you can't plan the city unless you can plan the traffic.
So let me just add, and Bob, you and I should continue this discussion, one-on-one later on. Ann Arbor Road is the old M14. It's controlled by MDOT. The likelihood of them amending the speed limit there is very slim. We've tried that many times over the years. We can certainly ask again, but it's they feel that it's adequate as far as they're concerned.
What's the vehicle? How do we talk to them?
You have to go through your state representative and state senator, and you have to make it a priority for them. And then they have to go to MDOT. MDOT will request a traffic study.
This is an exploratory question.
It's just going to go on.
So we as a township don't have any regular vehicle to talk to them?
Sure we do. I mean, all of us. We communicate with our county officials daily.
And I know Matt Coles are, okay? So But the point is that there's no, like, they don't go to the city engineer and say, hey, look, we're thinking about doing this, or what do you need here? That doesn't happen?
No, because we have to go to the county and make that request, or we have to go to MDOT and make that request. We have no jurisdiction over the roads.
Do you know if Oakland has the same rules with Northville?
Oakland County has an independent road commission. And I assume that the Oakland County has jurisdiction over their township roads, just like Wayne County does here.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it is all over Michigan.
Let's say Northville.
The
portion of Northville City?
Part of Northville is Oakland County, right?
Northville
city,
City,
though.
Northville City.
City has jurisdiction over their own roads. So in Plymouth City, the city owns and has control and maintenance of those roads.
So they have much more leverage.
And they get the Act 51 money from the state, which we don't get. So Bob, let's have that discussion. Let's continue that. Let's get together sometime and we'll share some ideas. Your concerns are not being ignored. They are prevalent. We had some people here earlier tonight that had very similar concerns about speed limits on Ann Arbor Road. It's just a matter of fighting the bureaucracy, either at the county or state level, and then you have to rely on their impressions of things. Now, if you look at that left-hand turn at Ann Arbor Trail and Sheldon, I know what you're talking about. We've been working with Wayne County for years on that. Their attitude is it's not a problem. They think it's fine. Just let the driver beware. And ultimately we cannot, short of litigation, I can't force the county's hand on a project on their own roads.
Although we are seeing a common thread. This is the third time tonight. The county is part of the equation and they're not at the table. But we have a lot of people complaining.
Commissioners and.
They're at the table. They do not consider it a priority.
Well, the lady that had the tree fall on her kid, and then the flooding at McClumpha and Ann Arbor Trail. They're not doing what they need to do quick enough.
Were you out of power, without power for several days?
Yeah,
Really?
Wednesday through Friday.
Well, I was out for
Saturday.
35 hours, I think.
Were you really? Wow.
Yeah.
Thank goodness my battery backup water pump worked. My neighbors didn't. Destroyed a complete finished basement.
Wow.
Okay, I do want to talk one more traffic issue, and that is we've asked. Go ahead.
I want to thank the 5 of you for coming. You've done more work because you've listened. It's not as hard to talk, not as much work when you talk. Please consider 3 issues, and I'd like you to respond if we have time yet. We've only got 5 minutes left to go. The Gold Corridor that I drive every day. Haggerty Road between Plymouth Road and 5 Mile. We just got the county to pave 5 Mile and Haggerty Road intersection, and we're just delighted, those of us who live in Lake Point. When I bring people from the outside of the state, mostly from the west side of the state here, I mentioned world-class corporations. Webasto is up to over 850 employees, and they're looking for parking, and they're parking out on Haggerty Road. And the chief of police knows about this. Rivian, they are going nowhere. I resent the conspiracy theory that they're going to Illinois or somewhere else. Bill Ford's daughter is on the board, and Robert E. Stewart is the vice president of engineering. He's not a relation, but he's in that building. Rivian is going nowhere. So let's set the record straight on that rumor or that talk. Lock Performance is the crown jewel over there with defense contracts. I'm thankful Kurt organized this meeting here tonight, and he is monitoring what they're going to do with the property to the south on Lock Performance. Talk about Amazon. Talk about Bosch. You're talking world-class corporations, and they're good corporate citizens. Bosch contributes hundreds of thousands of dollars each year to our Plymouth Canton Public School District. Okay, on July 15th, we had the MDOT here. The director of MDOT and his staff to talk about the 270 project. My point is, they said to us, what do you want? Because I raised the issue. What do you want for an exit out here? How do you want to be defined? I want your thoughts on that. Now, to give you facetiously, and I mean that 100% facetiously, Wes Graff, our director of the Chamber of Commerce, says, why don't we put up a big Paul Bunyan and say, we are the home of Stella and the Tavern? How do you want to be defined on 275 and Ann Arbor Road? They have the money. They are receptive. Kurt Heise and I are lawyer types. We don't think creatively about what do you want at that exit. And Goretta Young wants to make us happy with that exit, and they will develop something there. How do you want to be defined at 275 and Ann Arbor Road? My closing argument, the old lawyer on me, thank you for nurturing delicate compromise and consensus. And perhaps, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do this, but perhaps one of the best examples appears to be what's coming around the corner with the a development at Northridge. So please continue to do, we need your ideas, your professional input to respond to my thoughts and nurture that delicate compromise and consensus. Thank you.
Okay. Just one last thing on roads. I've asked Jeremy Schroet to do what's known as a PACER study. PACER study is a review of all the roads in the township, both county and state. The rating system then measures them according to their level of drivability, damage, et cetera. And then what we're going to do is, the county does this as well, but this allows us to have our own PACER plan that we can influence, frankly, and that we can do our own prioritization as well. So we're going to share that PACER report with everybody here eventually. I don't have a copy of it yet, but we're going to definitely share it with the Wayne County engineering staff so that they understand from us what roads need to be repaired over the next several years. I'm looking specifically at like Beck Road, which is definitely starting to show its age. There are similar ones as well.
You want him to project or no?
No, that's fine. MDOT was going to redo Ann Arbor Road this year between Canton Center and Napier, and that project was canceled, and they claim that they're going to start it up again for next year. That's what they've told us.
If I could restate what I think I just heard you say, that every road in the township has a rating.
Yes.
Right? And so the condition of the road is rated, and that becomes input into prioritization of how they're going to allocate the road dollars.
The county.
County.
So the county does that study, so we've done our own study that I think we will have more influence over. And what we want to do is share that study with the county and say, no, here's what we want, not necessarily what you think we should have.
So wait a minute, the PACER study, isn't the PACER study empirical data? So how could this county have a different rating than us?
Because they had someone different do it.
Because we do our own, and that's better. It reflects our community.
What did we pay to do this?
Input and values.
We did pay.
We paid.
I know. What did we pay?
I don't know, about $4,000.
That's all?
Yeah.
All right. Because I know we've done it or somebody had one in the past that was color keyed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's.
It's county.
Yeah, it's still the exact same color coded from 1 to 10, essentially, rating all the major roads. And as Kurt mentioned, it's used as a tool to kind of look at the FAC list to hopefully get us on future federal aid.
Oh, the county should have a lot of money for roads with the Rescue Act.
Right.
So
They should, and one of the
they can't
things.
plead poverty anymore.
And one of the things that we've asked them to do is restore the road funding for special assessment district projects.
You mean the matching funds? Yeah.
It was an 80-20 type of thing, and it helped incentivize neighborhoods to do SADs, which right now people just are not interested in doing them. Well, what's everybody's intentions here? We want to keep talking, or do we want to say goodnight? We got a lot of storms coming. Canton has already issued a flood advisory, so.
Would it not only be reasonable that we have another one of these at the first of the year? In the first quarter?
We could certainly do that. We could make this more of a regular event, maybe meet again in January or February. It tends to be a little slower at that time of year.
Well,
And do a real study session, not incorporated, but not incorporated as part of a board meeting, but just do a separate standalone study session, which we could do. We could chat for hours on that.
Well, again, we could put some questions together. The commission can do that on its own, and certainly the Board of Trustees could do it. And then perhaps you and I can meet, and Laura, and distill that into, prioritize it, and then we'll get an agenda going, similar to what we did for this meeting.
Good idea.
So we have two major items that I can remember that were, one was roads and one was cluster housing, that will need a lot more work. And we need to talk about those a lot more and take action.
Okay.
Please express our thoughts and prayers with the Bill Pratt family.
I will. I
Thank
will.
you.
So with that, if we're done, I'll adjourn our
Okay.
meeting, and you can continue
We
on
will
with
continue.
yours.
All right.
So-
Thank you for coming,
Okay,
and
thanks, guys.
safe travels home.
Thanks. And is there a motion for
Thank you.
adjournment?
Second.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Barberina, and supported by Commissioner Itzel to adjourn the meeting at, I guess, 9:04. All in
9:04.
favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your service. We really appreciate it. And Bob Ostendorf, you and I will get together and talk about your stuff.
Hey, good.
All right, we're not done yet. We have item G, public comment, limited to 3 minutes. If you guys just leave everything there, we'll clean up after you.
Clean up.
Any public comment at this time? Okay, we're going to move on to board comments. We will not be having a meeting on September 7th. We will meet again on September 14th. Starting to rain. Trash is still being slowly picked up. Unfortunately, we did find them for the month of June, and I'm thinking of finding them for the month of July as well. We can only go up to $7,500 under our contract. And
Is that being effective, or could we jawbone with them a little bit more?
what do you mean?
In other words, instead of throwing the book at them, let's see if we can work with them some more. Will it help?
We do that every day. Sarah Weissel is on the phone with them every day. She also takes hundreds of complaints from residents and emails. I get them as well. So this.
And that's happening in private areas, like my area, we have a contract with GFL, and they're 1-2 days late picking up, even in private
It's
areas.
difficult to compete with the federal government when they're
That's
paying
my-
people to
that's my
stay home.
point. I mean-
Well, but, you know, we also have a contract that we have to enforce. So, and we get the calls from the residents who are ticked off about the crappy level of service from GFL. So, you want to take, we'll send those calls over to you. All right, anybody else? Bob? John Stewart? Jerry?
Fine.
Mark?
All good.
Chuck Kermy?
Goals session, we may want to have a time where we check our status of goals and move forward on those that we intend to finish by the end of the year and the ones we intend to table.
Okay.
When do we have to have our request for budget in?
We're working on the draft budget right now, and you'll have it towards the end of August. It's due September 1st. We'll have it, you'll probably have it by the 30th or 31st of
If
August.
we want to add something, we should get it to you and Ginger ASAP.
Send me an email and then CC Ginger. It's not like this, the door closes. We're going to have numerous weeks of budget hearings and discussions, so there'll be plenty of time to add or delete things. All right, next, we have a closed session. I need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of considering appeal to the fees of a FOIA request in accordance with Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 8H, MCL 15.268, subsection H. Is there a motion?
I move for the motion.
Motion made by Clerk Vorba. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Treasurer Clinton. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Clinton.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're at 9:05.
All right. I'm going to go upstairs. Turn your mics off.
Kevin?